Yeah.
And they were going through the scrapbooks and they were howling because there's all these funny paper articles with my byline all over it. And I started apparently writing about them before I started to volunteer.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
So they were like, oh, this is wild.
Yeah.
Like, look what we found! I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my
God.
Wow.
So is the, vacation, is that a hearing, or is that just a agenda item?
It's a submittal from the property owner, so they're making the request.
Mine is a year out.
But,
So, it was apparently applied for last September.
And then they
so
withdrew.
that was the previous landowner, now this is the new house owner.
Oh.
Get to take phone call there.
Kevin Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Those nervous
Yeah,
bad.
because, you know, I see a lot of them because of the area planning commission. So, and those are always, because it's the area planning commission, you know, they're public hearings. So we hear, of course, he presents it, and then, but, you know, opening it up for remonstrators, either for or against, so.
Yeah, that property changed hands
Oh, okay.
between the first time and the
Yeah.
Okay, when I covered CPA, Matt Sandy and I would try and figure out how long the meeting was going to be based on, how many people Steve was representing.
Oh,
There was one time Tammy Cotton was in there to ask for something, and she must have been still running around downtown, she saw me like between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she's like, are you just getting out of that meeting now? I'm like, yes I am.
Oh, my God.
The funniest one was, there was a lady who bought 3 lots that Stan Stimmel owned and had houses on,
Okay.
and she planned to turn them into storage condos. Okay? And the lady next door was completely against it. All right? The lady who was against it sat behind me, so I always sat in the front row.
Yeah.
She sat behind me and chatted with the people next to her the entire meeting. Okay, which is 10 people.
Yeah.
So I had gone up and asked the board, can you gavel down the room?
Yes.
At which point they gave me permission to turn around and yell, shut up.
Oh, come on in.
I said, that's great, are you going to tell mom that you gave me that? And she's not going to come to me, she's going to go to him.
Okay.
You too.
Next month, I sat in the second row, and he sat behind me, and Randy caught, he let me remonstrate again.
Yeah.
Randy caught my eye, pay attention to her, because I
There's this small kitty here.
Oh, really?
to her. Yeah, you
That's
know,
well in town.
but you don't live there. No, we hope to build. So, but there is a structure on that house, on that one. Can you tell me what it is? That you use for storage, right? Looks at me. I was taking two from eating bread on my face.
Oh my God.
And he just laid there.
Yeah.
Here's that. Oh, and I jokingly told him this Bob, the security guy,
Yeah.
that you want to keep some night. They had gotten routed the month before. He took me seriously.
Oh, my God.
And you know, there's two doors, multi-purpose room. So
Yeah.
there's a door by where the board is.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this guy shows up and he's like, we structured violating screaming about.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so before that.
And he's working on the corner.
Oh, I heard about that. It's a double boat and stuff.
And maybe they just years later after the meeting, I think we already made the decision before. His son is a health department who did it.
Yeah.
We did it in demo.
Oh, my goodness.
I was surprised that it wasn't in the newsroom. That's you. I'm like,
Oh, I had not.
It was all I could do not to fall under it. I just don't laugh at so hard. He was the
Yeah.
trainer in our station in 1950.
All over the place.
I'm gonna come to see you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I was going through some old papers.
How old is that paper?
August 21st of 2024.
So, well, but that's almost
2 years to the day. That's when you were in there. She took the picture. That's your copy. Or
or you can finance his house and out the front. Okay, now I can read. That's the whole reason I came by.
The going rate for autographs starts at $50 and goes up.
I'm not sure if, you had a copy of that. You do now?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's what I said.
When you say we're going through whole stuff,
Yeah,
when we moved up here, they moved up out in farm.
Yeah.
I ran across the newspaper, I moved it my now. Oh, yeah.
So you
know, don't need it, we were, so,
Yeah.
I said, you do all the there around through because it said, I have to.
Love that. Yeah. Because
So we have to have
you know,
Didn't drive her along.
because we were helping her out.
Yeah.
So, and she was getting to the age she needed to sit down a lot.
Now that we know we're trying to push forward.
So we take the class over.
We need more time to have.
Yeah, so, okay, well, there you go. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'll be back for this.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Have fun.
I'm good, how are you? So as soon as she gets back, you're up.
Yeah.
David's not here, so.
You have a quorum?
Yes, we do have a quorum.
Okay, I'm just asking because the quorum numbers are weird at times, so,
Need three.
and you don't count,
I
right?
don't count, I'm just here to, I'm an advisor.
Okay, no, that's, I'm just,
Yep, we have 5 members, 3 of them have figures.
okay,
Same as council.
okay, that's fine, I'm just double checking.
Yep. That's an amendment. The council agrees. Yeah, that's for the Hollywood bond. I could look it up for you. I don't know off my head.
More than that.
Yeah. 20 years on, so, been paying on it for. I wanna say. I don't remember what it was, Hey there.
Hi, Jennifer.
I'm
You
Mark.
guys haven't met yet, that's right. Mark.
Nice to meet you.
I met her walking the door.
Oh, did you?
On the street.
I can't remember who was here when she.
Yeah,
Okay.
those two meetings.
So, 3 people are here, we have quorum, so he's vice president, so, yeah, we'll be.
Call the meeting to order. First thing you do is have the approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I read them on the way last night.
Well,
We
yeah,
had that long
did you read them?
meeting last night, and I got down to the, oh, no. It's
She wasn't here, so she should technically abstain,
Okay,
so do you two?
okay. You want to move to
I move that we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
second? All in favor? Also, approval of claims, we only have one, and that's the Hollywood Fifth claim, if you've not looked at it. Figure out the same, pretty efficient there.
Yeah, I looked at it because I was surprised how much it was.
Okay, here. So it's $94,111.50, that's principal and interest. So you just only have a 20-year bond,
I believe so.
the second payment?
Well, we pay twice a year.
Okay.
Plus that's 2 years.
2-year payment, second year payment.
Second payment of the year.
Thank you. Any discussion? I guess we need to have a motion to discuss it.
I move that we discuss the Hollywood bond.
Okay.
Payment.
Looking for discussion. Any comments, any questions, any?
Just for my own knowledge, what is it related to, besides Hollywood and $94,000? Okay,
Yeah, that's their, so it's the principal, the top line
Okay.
there, then the rest of it is interest.
interest.
Data sheet they
Yeah.
found on the,
So, yeah, so when we built the Schrock Field, bond taken out to help finance it, only, say, $3.5 million. That's what I'm going with, $3.5 million. And the principal for the bond is Hollywood. Because we had land where a Little League field was sitting, Hollywood wanted, and so there was this, actually, this was before my arrival, so.
Okay.
There was back and forth, the town gave the land, Hollywood resisted buying ground out on Turner Road.
Okay.
And then, as part of the structuring of the whole thing, there was a TIF placed on Hollywood,
Yeah.
and that TIF revenue pays for the business.
Okay.
So that's the very short version of it.
Any other discussion? On that? That'll be the vote then.
Is it comparable to what was earlier this year? Assuming it is.
It fluctuates on the amount of payment, it's similar, it has to do with interest rather than things. And if the TIF fails to have enough revenue in it, then Hollywood is responsible for the balance.
Okay.
But this time, the TIF has enough revenue to cover the thing.
So, any other discussion? Nope. All in favor of paying this claim? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, who made the motion?
I made my motion.
Okay. Okay.
Brings us to new business. Do we have any new business?
You, let me find that here.
Is it being recorded?
Yes.
Okay. For YouTube?
Well, this is for Virginia,
Yeah.
if he does the minutes, and then it's, yes, we're all for live.
Oh, okay.
We're all for live on YouTube, one way to the world.
I don't care. I just see the recording, so it's
Yep.
like.
So I do have two potential funding requests to ask of you. So we'll be paving some streets in town this year. And the funds that we normally have, are usually supplemented by a community crossing grant from the state. And we were like assuming and counting on that, well, we along with 60% of the state did not get the grants that we normally get. So we had to pivot on our paving plan, we shoved a lot of it to next year, we're gonna try again, so we still have some things we want to get done this year. And the funds that are in our account don't quite cover it, so we're probably gonna have to do some additional appropriations out of the town fund. But a few of the alleys are within the jurisdiction of the Syracuse District. And I'm approximating it at about $40,000 of the cost are within the Syracuse TIF district. And so the ask would be if you are willing to, allow us to use that TIF to help pave these ancillary alleys and stuff that are next to the TIF.
How much do we have?
You have, and so currently in the TIF, you have $1.8 million, and there's $286,000 remaining in appropriations for this year.
Do we have a coming,
We do not. We don't have any planned expenses currently for the Syracuse TIF.
What happens to those funds, the 280 after the end of the year, just roll over?
They just roll back into the fund, and then they're reappropriated for next year. If we have a project that we would ask for approval this year, we can, request through them essentially and roll it into next year and still have the same appropriation we would have. So we're just encumbering funds into the next, cycle.
where are these alleyways?
I can show you that they're basically right along, our street here. Oh, no, I have my thing in there. final. So, that would be one. You can worry about yourself there, it's just basically right behind it. Up that, up towards it, up down.
Okay.
Right here is to the left here is the central parking lot, so it's just right, so down to your right is the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And not that, so, it'll be the one that just showed in the next three. So they're all, these are south of the tracks, just over the tracks.
Okay. I'm looking at. Maybe within the Syracuse district.
Yes, all of these fall within the jurisdiction of the staff.
And just, yeah,
Yes. The streets we're paving, so we're doing those, we're doing Kern Road from end to end, and we're doing public works area. So none of that's within the district.
Is there help from the county on that?
Yes, they're gonna work with us and pave all the way down to the county road. Because we didn't want to stop in the middle.
Right.
So, yeah.
We're
Yeah,
down there.
they're gonna work.
can I see the overall CV?
So that's public works. That's Kern Road. Doing that. The engineers just drew it this way, it's actually going all the way up, so.
Gotcha.
And there's, that, I don't think these don't fall within this yet. No,
Are these in the tip?
those are, no, those are not, those are over by Oak, or by Hollywood. So
In the
they're-
and that's in the Hollywood district.
Yeah, so we can't use Hollywood tip money for anything but the public above.
No, that's fine.
Yep, so these are not just the ones that one and these three.
Okay.
They total, Mike, I'm trying to pull this number out of the overall number, and it's about 35 to 40,000, depending on how things roll, it should land somewhere around there. Because we do have a bid already in from a contractor, the total bid for the project is $562,833, that's for all the paving.
And when are they planning to do this?
We're meeting with them soon, probably September.
So do it yet this year?
Yes, correct, yeah. Sometime in September is our hopeful start date. We oftentimes get the leftovers and don't pay till November, which is really annoying. This time we kind of insisted that they pay quicker.
Who's doing the paving?
Brooke.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Need a motion? Bring it up for vote.
I will move that we approve, how much, $40,000?
If you, yeah, if you can just say up to 40, that would be.
Up to $40,000 for asphalt paving within the TIF district.
Mhm.
And second.
Any further discussion? Scott, all in favor?
I,
And then my second request, so this we're gonna be kind of forward thinking, future thinking. So, is everybody up to speed on the boardwalk project that's going down 13? Okay. So this has been building, for a couple of years now. So the project is that we will build a walking trail boardwalk. This is just a name, whatever. It'll basically start from Chicago Street, go all the way south to Harkless and join Conklin Bay. We've had engineering studies studies done in 22, 23, and they ballparked the project at about 1.5 million then. But actually, you know, as we bid things out, the costs are staying pretty consistent, so inflation hasn't been horrible to it. And so I was able to secure $500,000 grant from the CAP committee, which is a local, so you ever heard of ORI, which is the Orthopedic Initiative Fund that Representative Craig Snow got for Palo Alto County. They set aside $5 million for not Warsaw, the rest of the money going to Warsaw and LA. So each community that's not part of that gets $500,000 if you have a project that's approved. The CAP committee approved our boardwalk, so they granted us $500,000 to go towards it. The town council agreed to spend $860,000 towards the project, so that leaves us $300,000 short-ish. Because once you add in engineering and everything, the total project cost is gonna be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.7 million. So we need about $300,000. I had applied for a Ready 2.0 grant, which is another state fund that communities around the state are competing for. We did not get that. And so I have a $300,000 hole to fill in this project. And so I looked, there's really not any other grants right now that are gonna help. They're either too small to make a dent or, they're just not applicable for this kind of project. There used to be boardwalk, or not boardwalk, there used to be trail funding and everything else that you could apply for. The state governor did away with all of that. It's gone. At least as long as he's in office, those funds are gone. So that I was counting on getting hopefully some of that, but it's not an option. So there's really not any other funds that I'm aware of yet that will help. And so, as this is, you know, runs right along State Road 13, it obviously falls within the 35th corridor. The project, so just some more history. State Highway next year is going to completely redo State Road 13 through town. So it's gonna be a mess all summer long. They're gonna go from Conklin Bay to the US 6.
Are they expanding it, or are they just?
Milling it, repaving it as is.
So everybody's gonna drive up Park Coast.
Everybody's gonna drive up Park Coast and access roads and there. So,
Dallas.
all they pay, you pay Dallas, they're gonna find every shortcut they can. So the boardwalk is set to be positioned between 13 and the access road, essentially, kind of over the ditch. NDOT requested that we not do that at the same time. So I was hopeful in 2027, they'd asked that we postpone it till 28. So here's the other rub, the CAP committee, if I don't secure complete funding by the end of 26, they will revoke the grant. So I have between now and December 31st to secure the other $300,000.
So you have to raise the money by the end of the year, but you do not have to spend it by the end of the year.
Correct. So what I'm looking for is a pledge, if you're willing, to pledge $300,000 of TIF dollars to go towards the project.
And that's out of the Syracuse TIF, that's at 1.8, you
Correct.
said. You've got 200 and some that you haven't, after the, we just approved 200.
Yeah, call it 240. But and like there's no other project really in the pipeline right now for this year, so that money will just roll back in. And that counts in the fund. It's not like pulled out of the fund and then
Right.
it's showing up in the 1.8. Now you get about $350,000 a year in revenue in the TIF, which is essentially, 25% more than what they ask each year. And currently the TIF doesn't have a mission. Like, not every year we got X amount budgeted for paving or new water lines or new housing. There's nothing assigned to it that we have to be told to do. There's no buying into it. So it's just money that's available to be spent as you see fit. So we would have to obviously, if you would agree to fund this, fill in the gap, then we just I'd have to make sure that in 28, that's in the budget, that, that money is already spoken for in 28. That'll either all next year, if we don't spend it on much, next year you're just accumulating another so you'll be well over $2 million.
Where's the revenue coming from?
Property TIF for most of them. So, the TIF district runs basically 0-13 Mountain Block side. And all the revenue, all the tract properties in there are gathered by the TIF. And then as their assessments rise, the TIF revenue will always rise with them. If anybody would build anything brand, like a new factory would build on there, all that new assessment would be captured in their increase the revenue, that's it. But nothing new that's been built in there for quite some time. So we're just capturing the revenue growth, the assessment growth. Currently. So,
Where is the road going? The boardwalk?
so Chicago Street is single point,
Right.
south to be on the east side of the road, and we go all the way down to Hartsville.
But is DOT says not to put it in between the
No,
main road?
they don't, no, they're fine with, they're fine with where
Or
it's
just
at.
not in
Just don't
2027?
build it in 27, because they're gonna be, yeah, so basically.
Right.
This is my understanding from previous conversations, it's gonna be sort of more towards the.
Closer to the access road than the highway.
And then weren't there conversations about like borders so that it's safe?
Yeah, there was, so the council asked me to revisit with the engineers and see if we could bring the cost down. Because there were three versions of it. There was what I call the Taj Mahal version, which was what I envisioned, which was an actual truly elevated boardwalk, kind of like Congo Bay, that just rode over the top of it. And that's like $3 million. So they gave a second version at the same time, which was the 1.5, which is, there's some elevated, but some of it's surface level. It depends on the geography as you're going through.
How did the studies with the access crossroads and all that turn out?
So many conversations with NDOT. NDOT has approved removing them if we so choose.
The crossroads?
So there's 8 crossings on the east side. 4 of them are attached to surface streets, 4 of them are what I call mid-block. They just attach to the access road.
Okay.
So we asked about removing those 4 so that there would be less pedestrian vehicle interaction on the boardwalk. NDOT said, yes, that's fine with them. In fact, it less maintenance for them, so they're fine with it. And I tried my best to research it. I sent out 70-some emails to all the business owners within the village. And the paper was kind enough to also do an article, and I got 3 responses.
Positive or negative?
2 and 1, 2 positive, 1 negative. So I was discussing this with, so NDOT was like, well, if we're gonna do this, we need to have a public forum, kind of like community gathering, get your input. And they're like, you already tried, we're calling that good. So, yeah, so I said, I don't know if you take the non-responses as indifference, apathy, or yes. I don't know how you're supposed to interpret that.
I'd say yes.
In the moment, yes. You have your opportunity to come and tell me how you feel. No, 3 businesses respond. So, they'll complain and complain and complain and close them. We didn't know about it.
They, the problem, that's
Yeah,
Worry about it now.
and so that,
someone taking it still there and.
well, and so here's the other conversation on that. NDOT currently, they said if we do that, their intent is to just remove the pavement and leave the mound. And I said, people are just going to drive over it. And they said, well, we'll put up some sort of barrier. And I said, what's that look like? Well, probably some orange reflector cones. And I'm like, I was like,
31 every time.
yeah,
where they
I'm,
have those-
right, something like that. And I'm like, well, A, that looks awful.
Right,
And B, people are still gonna drive over.
right, or.
And they said, well, if you insist, if they agree to remove that and restore the whole ditch, then we have to help pay for that most likely. Because it doesn't cost them much to just pull the pavement out while they got a paving crew, which they would do. But if you're talking about restoring those ditches and removing all that and putting pipe in, they're like millions of dollars.
So how much, they have to maintain them, right?
They have to maintain the drainage. We, the town, have to maintain the lawn.
Who has to maintain the pavements?
They do, currently.
How much it costs?
Them, not much, because they don't pay a lot of attention to them, in my experience. We have to call them and ask them to do something quite often. So,
What was the third option? Nothing that's worth.
oh, that, I mean, that's, they're talking about restoring the ditch completely, yeah, that it's, I'm surveying them out. They're not interested in that currently.
And the third boardwalk option.
Oh, I'm sorry, third boardwalk option was really dumbed down to basically a sidewalk. That was really like attached to the access road, and I was like, I told them, I said, if that's your choice, I'm out. And they did it. And they agreed that was unfortunately too dangerous, too ugly, do whatever. They agreed that the middle one was the most sensible version of the boardwalk.
So they've already approved.
Yes, council approved the project, they approved it, spending $860,000 towards the project, which like they, because I wasn't able to secure the ready funds, $300,000 short, being able to cover the cost. And if I don't have something secured by the end of the year, which is the $500,000, which will kill the project.
And all we have to do is commit it
Correct,
by the end of the year.
correct,
But we will continue to draw
correct,
interest on it.
correct. And well, you'll get two revenue dumps every year. You get a revenue dump in June and another one in December. And that comes when property taxes are collected and it's for the municipality.
Okay, so we're 27. And then we can't do the work until 28.
Correct. And we could technically, if we don't do it, if you don't spend any, if you don't spend most of the certificate funds in the next year, you could actually encumber that appropriation, which is usually about $300,000, to just carry it into 28 to pay for the boardwalk. You still have the normal $300,000 or $50,000 spent in addition to 28. So that's where the planning needs to start now, essentially. But like I said, currently the TIF has nothing encumbered to it. Nothing speaks for it. There's not speaking for anything. So it's there to use however you see fit.
And the reason why the boardwalk is going along 13 and not the back road, the road that goes along the Frog, is because.
They already have a trail. The sidewalk that runs, that's technically a trail. That was installed by the Syracuse Trail
Okay.
2 years ago. And that was,
What's the purpose of the boardwalk? What was your ambition?
so there's no pedestrian access infrastructure within the village. The sidewalk system stops at Penguin Point or CVS.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. And so we have, obviously, as you know, heavy use of our trails as is. There's nowhere for people to bicycle, walk, run safely in the village. You either have to run on the access road or not. There's no option for pedestrians. School children also venture through there, coming to and from high school. And so they walk it a lot. They come down 13, they go to Chicago. There's sidewalk system on Chicago, but there's just nothing on 13. They're coming from the town.
Has the other side of the street been studied, looked at? Access crossings there?
So, yeah, there's less access crossings over there, but, there's 4, but 2 of them are private driveways, and so we can't touch it. So the Bowen Center and the church have private driveway access. So there's only 2 of the mid-block crossings over there. But the reason I put it on the east side was just simply so it would join the existing sidewalk system and not on that. That was the theory behind putting it over there. And then maybe in the future, long after I'm gone, somebody will build one on the west side. I don't know, but,
I think my concern is, and I've been seeing the floor plan or the development would probably help, but if it's going along 13, between the side road and 13, and then we're closing off access to the side road, then the traffic would be even more cumbersome, and then you're gonna have to, right, while you have
That's
pedestrian.
my hang up.
well, we've had that conversation too, and, that was actually the one that,
I like the idea,
I like it too.
when you first brought this up, I was thinking like boardwalk, like over over the road type of thing where,
Right.
but I didn't understand how that would work and
Or on the
I know
other
unless I
side, the
use the
access
one
road.
that, the one at the grocery store doesn't scare me because everyone goes to the grocery store.
Right.
And if you don't have an access road there, there's gonna be accidents there.
But you said the through streets, you're not going to close off.
Correct, correct.
Just like 4 of 8 are going to be closed.
Correct. If we decide to go that route, that's a council decision.
Right.
So, like at the grocery store, the one that goes into, to the grocery store would be closed, and the one, down at the dollar store
Yep.
would be closed.
There's one down there by the American Legion would be the first one, and I'm missing one somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, by Napa, and that,
Yeah.
there's one by Napa, but okay. And that one, that's the long distance between the two roads.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the questions they had. They're like, okay, so if you don't have the mid-block, then more people are stuck in themselves at the,
And then you have,
trying to turn.
that stop light and that light going on, that's the,
Yeah, all three of the intersections have stoplights.
so that's the one there on the south.
Right. That's the one that does, that's great. So this is a report I sent it to you guys, so that's kind of what it looks like.
And we can make it a little bit bigger.
So, there's some logistics still need to be figured out by the engineers. They showed stopping at Harkless, because they're having a hard time figuring out how to get it through that gas station parking lot. So, that may or may not be a dead end right there.
It crosses over, goes on the other side of 13, and then
Well, that's what I'm thinking, like, you
Yeah.
get that and cross it over somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah, these were different, amenities that they offer, these are kind of what it can look like. I think council was leaning more towards. I think this one down here. You get this railing, that's super expensive. This is the true boardwalk, that's the $3 million one. So it's kind of like something like that-ish. And these are crossings where, like, if you cross the road, you can designate, you can identify them so that people know it's a trail. We can put up warning signs, just like the regular trail path. And something like this one right here, kind of neat, kind of curbing, which helps with a little more pedestrian safety, because that's a visual barrier as well as visual barrier between traffic and cars and people.
that would look nice to be driving.
Yeah. And so, depending on the cost, whether you can afford the brick inlay or not. Everything's good. The engineers studied all that, and they're good with it. So,
And some of them are made.
yeah.
Not that this is necessarily our concern, but, who pays for upkeep and upkeep or something like that?
Yeah, the town, it would become town responsibility. So we would have to just factor it in and include it within the street department budget.
Okay. That's something we can take care of.
Yeah, street department would be under. So it's kind of a profile version. These are the cost breakdowns between each of the sections. If you're on the map, and different sections of PEA. So,
Has there been an assessment on the amount of traffic, both pedestrian and car?
vehicle traffic, there hasn't been a turning study done, unless in here did it, I'm not aware of. There's approximately 10,000 cars a day that use the road there,
And that's
more or less.
consistent over the past several years?
The last INDOT study that I could find, it was about 9,000 or 10,000 a day. I don't know if that's average, or that's winter or summer, or.
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Fourth of July weekend.
we would have to commission, like, Maycog is the group that we work with, they do traffic studies, we have to commission them, for them to do an actual physical count in that area.
On a related done about the Hauser Road interchange and intersection. Whatever became of that.
So NDOT actually, NDOT actually is going to redo that intersection as part of the paving project. My understanding, I haven't seen any final drawings yet, haven't heard them. They were, no, by
Well,
Burger King.
Burger King and the gas station, that intersection there. They did a study last year of possible the turn lane, fighting for turn lane both ways.
So NDOT is going to add a turn lane. I just haven't seen the drawings yet of what it looks like.
So that intersection be.
Yeah, because, you know, they understand it's a challenge because of the access road
Right.
by people turning. And then you got people trying to turn right on the Bowser Road and trying to turn into Chevy. And then there's a whole kerfuffle. And people trying to turn west can't because they can't turn left, so there's no left turn lane, there's constant traffic going south, and then people are stacked up. And so they understand it's a problem. And the dirt lane shoulder that everybody uses to destroy it. I said, how about you guys put a right turn lane in? And they're like, okay, we'll let that. So, I haven't seen a final drawing yet, but we've thrown all those, yeah.
If that was, because I don't see if they expand their section to be less room for that.
Yeah, we have thrown all that out.
Okay.
So,
I just wanted to comment also.
yeah, I'm just waiting for final drawings. But they are going to do something at that intersection, whatever it looks like. I know they're getting at least a left turn lane for southbound traffic. So.
I'm not against the boardwalk, I was uneasy on the closing of the access roads.
Yeah. And I'm not sold on it either. It was actually one of the council members asked that question, and so I researched it and talked to NDOT and I talked to the community. That's all I have to give them. But I have to give them, NDOT needs an answer by the middle of October. If they're gonna do it, they're gonna include it in their financial plans. If not,
If we approve these funds, if we would bring it to approve these funds, then do we have any more say in this?
as far as design or elements, your input is always welcome.
I said no because I don't wanna lose the funding.
Yeah.
Because I know that's hard to come by. And I know you have to have it wrapped up here. But I'm not really sure on. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
if we say yes now, so you can secure the funding for 2028, or because this is, in my opinion, a little bit of the redevelopment of Syracuse.
Correct.
We should be involved, but I don't know if we will be.
No, I'm perfectly okay with that, and you know, I have no issue getting advice or opinions or votes or whatever is needed.
Who has the final say? The town board?
Yeah. Council has the final say on closing the road.
You come to them, present different options.
Yeah.
It's like there has to be, and I'm not saying that there's not going to be, this is just me novice saying, there has to be some real intention about thinking through the layers, because for me, I'm exactly where you are with it. I think it's an incredible idea. It brings so much value. I just worry about the traffic and also the safety, and then together, like, those two things.
People get frustrated because cars can't turn on the 13, or the pedestrian's gonna, I can't walk it, I can't get across.
Yeah, I know, there's all kinds of what's the problem.
We can deal with that, if we don't get funding.
Yeah, it's like, it dies of funding if I can't, you know, and I mean, as far as now, grants are basically off the table because I just don't have time to even apply and get approved for one. I applied to K-21, I was surprisingly rejected by them. Yeah. They rejected me and they rejected, Tracy from the Trails at the same exact time.
And did
She
you
asked
say-
for money too and they rejected her.
Like 40% of another grant program people rejected, or the state rejected?
That was CCMD for paving. They rejected 60% of the applicants. So they didn't have, the state didn't get
Oh,
enough
that's why,
money.
that was
They didn't get
my
enough
next
funding.
question.
Their funding was slashed and burned by the state.
That's the gas tax.
So, yeah, I'm not, even though they're replacing the lost revenues, I'm not confident that we'll get a grant next year either until somebody proves it to me. Because it pays for 80% of our paving. And so if we don't get it, then we have to pivot again and pay about half at best I do plan on bringing the conversation about the access roads to council tonight. Just to update, I'm not asking for a decision, just update them. We had a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys choose not to vote on this tonight and want to revisit it next month, that's fine. So got until the middle of October, or I'm sorry, in December to let the cap committee know for sure. I've still him out by the middle of October, what we're doing.
I don't think it's a money issue, I just think it's more of a design, and I think you like the idea and everything, that we can see how it can help Syracuse, it's the design thing, and I don't, the way, knowing a little bit about how the tests work, it's not gonna be a matter of having the money by 2028 for sure, because we have most of it right now, and it's probably not going to use. So I don't think it's money issue, I think it's design issue,
Yeah.
which we can work with the council and letters, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
So do we want to, take a motion, take a vote to approve it, or do we want to table it?
I think we ought to table it until next month, and we need to figure out what's gonna happen with the crossing of the streets, with the access roads.
The only problem, what I don't understand too, I don't know that we'll have that answer by the end of the year.
Yeah, like the council has to decide on the access road stuff by middle of October. So essentially, that's what the exact date, but they might have to make that decision in September at the latest, so that I have that.
Well, I'm not uncomfortable approving it. I think it's worthwhile. We don't have to give it up right away, so that means we'll get it. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
So we want to make a motion? I'll make a motion to approve up to $300,000 out of the Syracuse TIF fund for the football project in 2028.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That at least will allow me to submit the grant funding. Yep. So I can send them information to do that. The last puzzle piece as far as funding. Then like the engineering decisions are still floating around. We have some more conversations and stuff like that, but more than happy to include you.
Yeah, I think it is all like that,
So,
reading it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I get updates, I will update you. And if you guys want copies of the boardwalk,
Yeah, that would be great.
stuff, I can send it to you.
Email, whatever.
Yeah, I'll email it to you.
Was that the only new business we had?
Yes.
Do we have any other business?
The only thing that I have to share is Mark is still working on the Tech Park bike stuff. He's had one mounted and testing it down in Public Works. He said it's private committee in the church. So I said, well, let's move along, and so he's gonna remount it out at the Tech Park and see how it does out there. So hopefully by,
Is it still an issue? I mean.
I haven't heard from them.
Different than the winter.
I haven't heard from them.
I feel,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous that we're.
You can probably feel now.
I do.
Okay.
I remember a little bit of the conversation.
The redevelopment commission in the town built the tech park essentially.
Right.
And one of the last things we did is we installed solar streetlights out there a couple years ago. They were
Which.
designed and approved, they were designed by us, approved by them. They have a
By
business
them,
community.
All the business.
They have a business coalition.
Okay.
They approved them,
Yeah.
the specs, everything. And then 6 months in, they decided they didn't like them and they wanted new.
And they wanted to.
And they wanted to already see the paper.
I was like, hell no. That is something that, I mean, I could be brought to a middle ground somewhere, but I'm like, you guys sign off on it.
Right.
Their complaint is that in the winter time, there's not enough sunlight for the solar, so in the winter time, it becomes a problem. They were supposedly having break-ins or things coming up missing out there. I don't have any, that's just what they were saying, so I don't know. And in the winter, I will give you that it is not not as bright as it is in the summer out there, but.
And the solar panels don't hold the sun, like, we're not collecting more.
Yeah, you're right. And so we found out, did some research on some new different versions, and we got pricing to run hardwired, which was super expensive. $200,000 or $300,000 or something like that. We spent like $60,000 on the light poles and all. And so, you know, to upgrade them to hardwire was like $200,000 or $300,000.
Oh, wow.
So we started looking at other options of solar, like more newer tech.
Yeah.
More efficient. Mark brought it in several times. He showed you the one that he thought was the best. You guys approved buying, we bought one. It's been sitting out in public works for a month or two. They've been, you know, just watching it, tried outside his office window. He's like super bright in the yard. So now he's gonna move it out to the tech park just to see how it does out there.
And then how much is that?
I don't remember off the top of my head what that we bought. It's like $400 maybe.
I would think 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not much. And how many lights are out there?
There's 13 lights out there.
And
So it'd be a few $1,000s expense. And that would come out of the debt and dip. So there's a dip on that part, the tech part, that's called debt and dip, that money strictly comes in
is
the
that
debt
a small
and dip.
distance? Well, that's not good.
Rather is it's got zero money in it, you know, probably just have zero money in it. Cause we spend it all on payments. So, it's coming. Yeah, Route Ridge, you'll see that, those funds in 2080.
Okay.
Cause those, that's it in 27, and the pay payable in 28.
Do we have a map that shows where all the TIF
Yes,
is
I
all
saw one at one point, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause there's,
I can try to send one to you.
Oakwood, Syracuse,
There's
Hollywood.
two on Oakwood.
and Benton. The two.
There's two on Oakwood.
Total.
Yeah, two on Oakwood, Syracuse, Tiff, Benton, and Hollywood. No, 6 rather, so
Check around.
6, yes.
There's 5 lights.
Yeah. Yeah, the Route Ridge is the big one. So, but again, it has no money until 28.
And that is growing now because it's been.
Yeah, now you got the new building that just went up, they'll assess that, I think, at the start of the year, I don't think that's this year, but that money will start coming in 27 and 28.
That's the town, the new building in the industrial.
Yeah,
What is it?
Concrete.
yeah, so, you know, Chris Story, okay, so Chris built that.
Oh, really?
His son has a concrete business that he's going to operate out of it.
Okay.
Do we have a few minutes that you could give
Yeah, you got the
me
third.
an update on, what we, I missed the last couple of meetings, but about the redevelopment of town property, finding housing.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah, so we have had this conversation several times.
Mhm.
That's, you know, I kind of brought it forward a while back. The check work's done, so you guys need a project, more projects. And I thought housing rehab or new housing was a good place to go. And Nate and I went over and visited with, Ken Will, so they have a really nice privately run rehab program, not government at all. It's a bunch of, people that wanna do something for the community. They buy as cheap as they can, they rebuild as cheap as they can, and they rebuild in single family. They make sure that, you know, duplex investors are in the conversation. So he came over here, gave a little spiel to you guys a couple years ago. It's a good program, it's a model. But so that there's also a new program. So when Zach was here last month for MACOG, he was describing another grant opportunity that we could potentially get some funds to redevelop lighted housing. And that would be, I assume, so the town had, there was a county-wide housing, called workforce housing, years and years ago. It exists, but it's not very active. It actually, all Warsaw is headquartered in Milford, so, the town created an ordinance here, like 10, 15 years ago to partake in it. The fund, created a fund, it's got $2,000 sitting in it. And they were, they used one. And it's mostly for rehab, for like roofs, furnaces, critical stuff. There's been one application in the last 15 years. But you had to go through them and then back to us, and just, I think it's too cumbersome, or whatever. So my suggestion has always been, let's just do it ourselves. If we can get it, so the county was looking at it, so I was like, all right, we'll pause and see what county does. County decided not to play. So we're back to do it ourselves. So Habitat for Humanity is doing a similar program. They actually now have a rehab program also that's been started. But there's no reason we can't also do it like Kendall does or something similar. The ordinance is already in place, we just have to rewrite it and take the Warsaw Housing Authority out of it, just keep us. Whether it's the RDC running it, or the council, or both, or however, I think it's a good project for the RDC to manage. But, basically it's, you can either buy homes and put them, or have a grant, or both, to help people fix their own homes, or buy blighted properties, and a separate thing, we've got a lot of commercial property that's underwhelming. It'd be lovely to grab some of that and hold it and redevelop it. That way we can put out RFPs, have builders come in and say, hey, I can do that, or I can do this with that. And we control the negotiation strings, it's not private entity. So those are the two things that I've been looking at. Hard for you guys, I think would be a one or two good projects for you to start tackling.
Are there residential properties in town that have been identified as blighted?
So Scott, who is the code enforcement building inspector guy, a couple of years ago, I had him make a list, but it's old, so I don't know how valuable it is anymore. Tyler, so there's a new state law, just went into effect. Now every community has to identify pretty much every home in their community and what it is. So Tyler did that. He broke it down between rental, 1%, 2%. And so, where was all of that? But we could, I guess Tyler create a new list of what he considers troubled homes.
I think that'd be a good idea to start, because then I'll have to take it off the drive by house and
Yeah.
the property and say,
But a lot of them are, rentals. And so we have some landlords that are less than enthusiastic about doing a property with.
is there any way to enforce that?
It would require some more aggressive code to be written than what we have.
Town council willing to do something?
I think so.
The presentation that the Kendallville people gave, were you here for that?
Not for the presentation.
The presentation was interesting. They identified particular neighborhoods and tried to get more than one property in a given neighborhood so that they were working on an area.
Yeah, rather than just
Rather than
around town.
Yeah.
They pick a neighborhood.
Because when they did that, then the people in that neighborhood that maybe still wanted to stay in there started taking pride in their own homes.
Right.
That's the program. They've done 40 houses in last 5 years.
I just noticed there's quite a few houses for sale up in just outside the downtown area, that's recently for
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah.
And right by where the library, so I could believe that might be an opportunity to redevelop some of that.
I mean, this is the oldest section of town.
Right.
One of the oldest. So probably the most busy in town. So when this grant thing opportunity came around, they asked every community to do a resident survey that can, people that think they might want that. And they wanted each community to submit 3 people. I got 3 people raising their hand, hey, I need help. And when I sent it out on Facebook, within an hour I had 10 or 15 replies. I need that.
That's the NACOG.
Yes. No, well, yes, it's MACOG kind of like just information gathering.
Well,
It's a state program.
The repair.
This was when the county was looking at this grant.
Okay.
They needed a survey done. And I don't know if every community participated, but I did, and within an hour I had 10 responses. I need help.
So
I'd be willing to start paying.
what's the Kendallville one called?
I will have to look at that one, I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can look it up for you.
I can look it up.
Okay.
And then we make
I think that the refurbishing of houses, what I talked to you about before, about, just taking an area and looking at, what, to the eye, just unappealing in different areas. I just took from Main Street north out of town, and then some of the land that's available, that's a field or open, that's just stuff that can be, what's it designed for now, or what's it labeled now, is gonna be changed. Because when we're looking at adding housing.
Right.
And it's not like a huge area other than Oakwood, but I don't know if that's ever gonna come out, but outside of that, can we take individual properties, empty lots, and buy those, put a house up on it, and if it's gonna sell the overall top note, we work towards that goal of, hey, if there was 10 properties that we could build 10 houses on,
Right.
that's 10 more houses we didn't have.
Correct.
And then, continue to work with the farming and everything that Nate talked about in the past.
Right.
If that's ongoing or not, I have no idea, but it's this idea is that,
Yeah.
You could look around and do those things.
Yeah, we have some infill possibilities with making lots over homes that need to be reconstructed.
Are you familiar with the Northwest Regional Development Authority?
Somewhat, and I've heard of them.
I just don't, I'm not that familiar with them, but they're doing a really impressive revitalization of, Michigan City. And they're putting the train station at the South Shore train station now has a massive parking garage and, but it's a pretty poverty-stricken part of Michigan City, and if you're familiar with it,
I've heard of it, yeah.
if there might be some sort of funds or something, and they have access to other funds or grants.
If they're big enough, I mean, they may be tapping into federal dollars or,
Yeah.
As far as the state, this latest grant is the most interesting one I've seen. If we would, choose to apply for it.
What's it called?
Yeah.
How many
I don't know
farms,
what that called.
you said you had a farmer that was interested. I'm very sure you get some great ones.
Right around that.
Yeah, I agree. If we build it, they will come.
Yeah, that's the theory.
Where are they, we're on the old school, the park called
Urban.
They still would be planning expansion.
They were right. Yeah, so they've already got foundation laid on the first one. Well, something still does. So, yeah, I think they wanted to have occupancy by April. Putting up 11 to start, 40-ish in the done.
Apartments.
Yep. My understanding, I think there's like townhouse, we sort of, and the two on the end, I think they're gonna have garages.
Great.
What happened with Maitland Point? Did somebody pay the taxes?
Yep. So, I actually just researched that today. They have until October 28th to redeem taxes, what Point does. And then if not, it goes to whoever this LLC is.
Okay.
Yeah. I checked with the county after I talked to you. They said yes, no one has redeemed yet, so it's still in play. So, we're mowing it. Now, they won't. Yeah.
Is there a line or a fund that's going on there?
Yeah, we have to wait to see what this LLC does, over there. So, yeah, to be anonymous, yeah.
Or if we get time, so they would have any questions on that. Second. All in favor?
Bye.
Thank you all.
Good meeting.
Especially the one that's very important.
Thank you all for your help.
Thank you.
The treasurer, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, because town council, then I gotta go back to the office and start writing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Ron kicks me out about 9:30, and he's going home, and I won't stay in the building by myself, so.
Dana still got enough for it?
Huh?
Is it Dana still got enough?
No, I just, it's an old building and it's clean house, and.
I've been in there.
And my mother doesn't like knowing that I worked for the Nightmare, and I was in high school.
Jeff, you'll have to sign that.
Go on, sorry. South Bend Tribune reporter was murdered by the janitor. Late at night. Really? It was horrible, she was pregnant, yeah. She came back from covering a meeting to do her story and he killed her.
What was the reason?
I don't remember, like, I was in high school, but, yeah, she remembers that, she's like, I really don't like working in the office late at night, and then Ron will normally make a pass through, and one night he got flashed, to me,